Thanks for joining us today at Flatirons Online, where we seek to bring the awesome life of Christ to a lost and broken world. If you ever have any questions or you want to know more about us, then check out our website at flatironschurch.com. And if you want to stay connected throughout the week, then follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Today, our lead pastor, Jim Bergen, is going to wrap up our series, Tree of Life, by asking, what would change if self-control became a recognizable description for your life? Once again, we're glad you're here, and welcome to the final week of Tree of Life.
Yeah, happy Father's Day. It's our day. I've been talking to all these dads going, so what are your plans for Father's Day? And they're going, like, I'm going to take a nap and everybody's going to leave me alone. And that's a great day. And so good, so good. You know, Father's Day has a tendency to bring up a lot of emotions, like Mother's Day for some of us. Father's Day can be a really good thing if you had a great dad or you are a really, really great dad. And some of us, we didn't have a great dad, or, we just feel like we're failing as a dad. Or here, you might be like me, like I just really miss my dad. He passed away 5 years ago. I got on Facebook today and I posted a picture of my dad, last picture of the two of us together, and it just brought up a lot of stuff, and I just miss him. So I don't know where you are on the whole Father's Day thing. Some of you don't even know who your dad was or is, and so wherever that is, one of my favorite descriptions of God is that He's a father to the fatherless. And I'm like, if you need that today, it's like, I don't know if my dad likes me or knows me or whatever that is. God does, all right? And He's your dad, and He's your father today. And so celebrate that today. Last week, and we're going to wrap up this Tree of Life series, and I'll explain that in a minute, but last week we looked at a definition of a word called gentleness. And gentleness basically can be, practically defined this way is, I want to look around the world, and even if it looks really bad over there, I want to see if God's in the middle of that somehow, and what He might be doing, and what if He wanted to use me in what's going on over there in ways that I never thought about before. In our world, probably one of the biggest things going on is there's so many kids that don't have dads, fatherlessness, right? And so what I want to do before we get into this series, I want to show you what happens when some men here at Flatirons, all three of our campuses, look around and go, okay, that's broken over there. Is God in there, and what may God want me to do in the life of a fatherless boy? And when men do that, this happens. Watch this.
I was looking for how I could engage more with the church, and this seemed like a good way to use skills that I had to serve the Lord.
We can find this all through the Bible. God has a special place in His heart for the poor, the widowed, and the fatherless. And Jesus commands His followers to take care of the most vulnerable, which is why
about a year ago, I ran into this organization, great ministry called Fathers in the Field. Sat down with them. We talked about if we were a good fit for them and they're a good fit for us. And over the last year, we've really developed a great relationship. Behind me are some of the 43 men that over the last 4 months, we have 8 men who've stepped in and said, we will be champions. We will lead this ministry. So it's not staff-led, it's volunteer-led. We have 8 champions, and 43 men have gone through a process over the last 4 months of being vetted in every way you can vet somebody.
That was a year ago, and what a year it's been. Fathers in the Field and Flatirons have partnered to connect solid, godly men with fatherless boys, and taking them on the adventure of a lifetime, learning about Jesus, helping others, showing them what true manhood really looks like, and having a blast all along the way. Throughout this past year, the Flatirons champions overseeing this ministry have connected 24 mentor fathers with their field buddies, and they've spent the year worshiping together, serving together, and growing together.
This has definitely been a journey. This isn't a weekend seminar where you spend a weekend with a kid and he's saved or he's confident or whatever. So, it's really taken about 11 months to feel like you're making an impact on his life. And just in the last month, every time I see him, he's asking, are we going to do this again? When do I see you again? I've had the greatest time. Can I see you again tomorrow? And for a young 12-year-old boy who's a little reserved, I think that's a big deal coming from him. So that tells me that I am making a difference. I think young men are going to be influenced regardless. Regardless of what mom thinks she has control over or not. And these young men, if mom can help guide who is the influencer and how the influencing is done, that's a win, because it's going to happen one way or another. And if mom can engage in a program or a process that puts a godly man in his life, then that's going to be a more positive influence than if he seeks it elsewhere.
Fathers in the Field and Flatirons, working together to follow Jesus' command to care for those most in need and to defend the fatherless.
Yeah, let's give it up for those men that have said yes. Give it up. Wow. Yeah, every time I watch that video, I think that little kid's going to go over that horse. I think he's just boom. And it's a video, though. I know he doesn't, but I think he does. But hey, let me talk to two groups of people really, really quick. First of all, if you're a mom trying to raise a little boy who doesn't have a man in his life at all, you're doing the best you can. This is no statement on you, but you know you've prayed this prayer. I just need a good man to speak into my son's life, and there's not a man at our house. His dad is gone. My boyfriend, no. I just need a godly man to speak into to my son's life. If you want to find out more about that, at all three of our campuses out in the lobby, there's a Fathers in the Field presence out there. Just go up there and just ask them. And they'll give you some information, maybe start a new journey. Let me talk to the other group, and that is the men in this room and at both of our campuses who are sitting here right now. Your heart's beating different right now because you don't teach. That's not what your thing. You don't sing or play an instrument, things like that. You don't want to get in front of people. You know what you're really good at though? Hunting and fishing. You go to the gym a lot and you can repair an engine. That's your deal. And you know what? There's some little boys that go, I would give anything if you would spend time with me. And then you come to church with them twice a month, and then you just go do stuff with them. And listen, if any part of your heart's just going, someone says I want to pay attention to that, then stop by out in the lobby. So this is the last service, so I'm going to throw it all back in. We're going to be here a while. Meaning this is that I had a beer with a man on Thursday who said, 2 years ago I sat in Lafayette campus and you threw out Fathers in the Field, and my entire family, I have 4 kids, they all looked down the aisle and went, Dad, you've got to do this. And so he did it, and he became one of those champions that you saw in the front row there. So I had a drink with him on Thursday, and he said, hey, Jim, just want you to know, over the last 18 months, God's got my heart. We sold our house, and I quit my job, and we're moving to San Antonio, and we're going to oversee Texas and Oklahoma for Fathers in the Field as missionaries. And so up at West Campus, you're listening to this. His name's Matt. He's at the table in the lobby. Go give him a lot of money. Okay, so there, all right? And so that's what happens, okay? So be careful when you say yes to God, because He'll ruin your life in a good way. So we're going to wrap up this Tree of Life series today, where we've been working through this metaphor, or parables, what the Bible calls it, comparing a healthy fruit tree, and we've been going with an apple tree, but just as a healthy fruit tree, we've been comparing that to our lives as people who say, I follow Jesus. And the question that we've been coming back to over and over is this: what would my life begin to look like if I really was connected to and rooted in Jesus? Right? I mean, so a lot of us claim I love God and I follow Jesus, I'm a Christian, all right? But what would my life begin to look like if I really was? Like a vine connected to a branch, or a tree that really has roots that go down into something, tapped into something really well, and then Jesus is flowing through me. What would come out? What would happen in my life? And the answer every week has been this: something would change. Something would be different than before I was rooted in Jesus. Jesus said, you will recognize a tree by its, remember? Fruit. Meaning, you look at this tree and it's covered in apples. You do the math. I'm going with an apple tree. Exactly, all right? So if you're rooted in Jesus, all right, Jesus says there will be recognizable fruit, recognizable changes. And Ben talked about this a few weeks ago. People will come up to you and go, dude, you're different. I went to high school with her. She was not like this in high school, all right? She was different. Her behaviors are different, all that kind of stuff. It's just different than before you were rooted in Jesus. As more and more and more, the more we're rooted in Jesus and He lives inside of us, we would begin to be described by the same words that describe Jesus. He saved me, I'm rooted in Him, and now He lives in me. And just like apples come out of an apple tree, Jesus comes out of me. Which brings us to this week. So this is the last of 9 words that describe this fruit of the Spirit of God, Spirit of Christ living inside of you. And let me just tell you this, okay? I think of all the words that we've covered over the last 6-7 weeks in here, this one's the most important. And here's why I think it's the most important. Because last night when I taught this in both services, and then up at West, and I taught this today, anything that can go wrong technically has gone wrong. I think the light's probably going to go out, and something bad, because it's like the enemy does not want us to hear what I'm about to teach you. Because if you would actually open your heart up to what I want to teach you about this word that we're going to look at today, your life would be different. because it's different than all the other things that we've been talking about, because it really just says, let's just get into the real stuff of our life. So look at this. Paul says, again, it's a metaphor is a tree, comparing it to what would happen if Jesus really was living inside of us. So the fruit of the Spirit, and this is what we've said this for 6 weeks. Let's just all say it together. 1, 2, 3. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness. There it is. Self-control. Okay, now you look at all those words and you go, yeah, Jesus was that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. He was all those, all right? And if Jesus lives inside of me, those words come out of me. So I want today we're going to talk about self-control. And I love it. I love this word, not because I'm good at it. Okay, it's like, no, it's probably the most convicting one of all of them for me, but it's just been fun to study this week, okay? Meaning this is like last week I talked about sometimes the English language is just kind of, but then there's other languages that really come to life. The Greek language this part of the Bible is written in. It just nails self-control. So what I'm going to look at this, I'm going to give you the definition out of the Greek, and you're going to go, I think I get it, and then I'm going to tell you one more thing, and you're going to go, oh, I get it. Like, so the Greek word for self-control is I haven't said it right yet. That word right there, okay? That's it in the Greek, all right? Shut up, you're judging me, all right? So, but this word can be translated several different ways, so depending on what version of the Bible you have, maybe they go with a different word. It all means the same thing. It can mean temperate, okay? Which is like moderation or like not too much, right? And then we're using this definition, self-controlled, ready? Or it can mean continence. Now, wait for it. Don't wait. All right, so I sat in my office kind of, I wonder, all right? So sometimes when you look at a word and go, I think I know what it means, someone go, well, let me tell you what the opposite of it is. And then you go, got it, all right? So let's just look at the opposites. All right. So the opposite of temperate is intoxicated. So if you're not temperate, you're probably drunk. All right, or you're addicted, or you're a victim, and it's just too much. It's excessive. That's the opposite of temperate. So if you don't have self-control, you're those other things. All right. The opposite of self-control, and this is so obvious, but once you say it out loud, you go, I never thought about it like that. The opposite of self-control is controlled and enslaved by something or someone else. Right? Think about it. If I'm not self-controlled, then I'm somebody else controlled. And that's called slavery, just so you know. If somebody else says, no, I'll tell you how to run your life. All right, you ready? Here it comes. But the opposite of continent is incontinent, which literally translates to the inability to control your own bladder and bowels. And I sat in my office, started laughing, going, nailed it. That's it, right there. So if I was writing the Bible, all right, and we're all glad I didn't, but Jim's Bible would have this verse in it. It goes like this, and I cleaned this up because it's church and there's kids in the room, all right? So this would be my verse, okay? It goes like this. Without God's Spirit leading me, my life is a total, and this is where I cleaned it up, kids, all right? So it's a total show consisting of one stinky mess after another. That's my life apart from God. When I'm not rooted in Jesus, it's just one dump after another. It just is, and so here's what I want to do, all right? Last week, we looked at 5 categories of life, okay? And your assignment last week was just look at it different. Maybe God wants to do something different in your life that you never thought about before and considered doing your life, that part of your life different. What I want to do is I want to take, those words of self-control, temperate, self-controlled, and continent, all right? And I want to lay those beside each one of the 5 areas of our life and just see how we're doing. And remember, this is what we're going after. What recognizable fruit or what recognizable difference has my being connected to and being rooted in Jesus and having His Spirit live in me? How has that changed how I'm living? Okay, there was a time in my life when I wasn't rooted in Jesus and He didn't live inside of me, and my life couldn't look like that. But now that He's there in these 5 areas of my life, what's recognizably different? And sometimes, you've been a Christian like 5 minutes, you get a pass today, okay? Just throw stones if you want. But don't do that, really. But for the rest of us, here's what I really want you to pay attention to. You've been a Christian now. You claim to be a Christian, rooted in Jesus. He lives inside of you, right? For a while. For at least a season of your life. And you need to ask these questions. You're able to point to these areas of your life and go, no, that's different. It's changed, and if it's not changed, then you need to pay attention to that. Here's the 5 areas of life we looked at last week, okay? First one is sexuality, and basically it's this: how you determine your worth as a man or woman, all right? So fill in the blank. I'm a good man as long as I what? I have value as a woman as long as I what? All right? So sexuality, how you determine your worth as a man or woman. How you express your sexuality. What images come to mind just saying the word sexuality in your head? So let's put it through the filter. Do you have self-control in this part of your life? What do you mean? Now that I'm rooted in Jesus and he lives inside of me, I'm self-controlled. I choose what Jesus says is right, true, and good. Nobody makes choices for me in that part of my life. I choose. I'm self-controlled. All right? So I'm rooted in Jesus. He lives inside of me. I'm choosing to line up that part of my life. And growth takes time with what Jesus says is right, true, and good. Or you look at this part of your life and go, no, I'm a victim. I'm addicted. You know what? I don't have any boundaries. I mean, every time I go on a date, I go, okay, I'm not doing that again. And you know what? You don't till the next date. Because you know what? It's like, it's out of control. You're enslaved by someone else. Somebody else tells you if you're a good woman or not. Your whole value as a man rests on what some other people, because you're a slave. You're not self-controlled. Other people own you. All right? How about this area of life? How about your relationships? Pick out the 2 or 3 most important relationships in your life. And this is what we looked at last week. So we all wrestle with arrogance and conceitedness. How has conceitedness and competition and jealousy impacted the most important people in your life? It used to impact it like this. Now that I'm rooted in Jesus, it's different. So are you self-controlled when it comes to relationships in your life? I'm rooted in Jesus, and he's flowing inside of me. The most important person in my life is my wife, my husband, my boyfriend, girlfriend, my kids, my parents, whatever that is. So you know what? I'm self-controlled. I'm choosing to align that relationship with what God says is right, true, and good. All right, is that it? Or are you, in terms of relationships, are you an addicted victim? Are you excessive? Are you enslaved by someone else? And you can't control it. Some of us, we don't have friends. We have slaves. They can be my friends as long as they do what I tell them to do. And the moment they don't, we kick them to the curb. Or we don't really have friends. We'll do anything. We'll compromise anything in order to be with them. That's not who we are, but they own us. Okay, we're not self-controlled. Other people control us. How about this part of our life? Your health. And I'm talking about your physical health here, all right? I mean, we all fight addictions, all right? And we say we're not addicted to it, but we are, all right? We have habits in our life, good, bad. There's decisions we need to make, changes we need to make about our physical life. We need to do more of this or do less of this. So let me just, in terms of what goes on with your body, all right? Do you have self-control? What do you mean? Well, now that you're rooted in Jesus and he's flowing inside of you, what comes out? I choose to do things with my body, not do things with my body. Put things in my body, whatever with my body. I choose, because I'm self-controlled, to align my body with what Jesus says is right, true, and good. Does that describe your life? Or are you a victim, addicted victim? I can't help it. Not my fault. You don't know what happened. It's excessive. I mean, I do way too much of that, and it's out of control. I'm enslaved by someone else, and I can't control it. I need to eat more. I need to eat less. I need to go to the gym more. I need to get gym less. Whatever that is, it's not my. Do you have self-control in this part of your life? Just pay attention to it, whatever's coming up for you. How about this one, all right? Your emotional life. And here's what I mean by that, if you weren't here last week. We all have things in our past that we look back and go, that hurt. That changed everything. That left a scar. That formed me into this person that I am today, okay? And so we all have that. The question we're looking at is this: am I a victim of my past and what he or she did to me, or whatever that is, all right? Or am I self-controlled? Am I going to line up with my life with what Jesus says is true about me? He says I'm more than a conqueror, that my past does not have to define my future. I'm a new creation in Christ. So let me just ask this, okay? Based on what happened to you in the past and all the tapes that play in your head every day, I've got them anyway, right? Do you have self-control there? What do you mean? I'm rooted in Jesus. He lives inside of me, and now I choose to believe what Jesus says is true about me, not what he did to me. That's not true. She left me. She promised she'd stay with me forever. He hit me. He left me. She abused me. Whatever that is, and I've been walking around with this tape in my head that goes, I'm not worth staying for. I don't have any value. I got to get up every day and prove that I'm enough. That's a lie. I am self-controlled, and I choose to align my life with what Jesus says is true about me. Is that you? Or how about this? Are you an addicted victim? I can't help it. You don't know. Go back. You don't know what happened to me. It's not my fault. I will always be, a victim of what happened to me. I'm excessive. My emotions, there is no monitor. Whatever I'm feeling comes out, and woe to the person who gets in front of my emotions, because I will vomit all of it on them every time, and I've got just bodies everywhere. I'm enslaved by someone else, and I can't control it. What do you mean enslaved? You know what? Some of us, somebody owns us. What do you mean? They did something to us, and we think about it every day. They've been dead for 10 years, and they still own us. We've been divorced from them forever. They haven't been a part of it. We haven't spoken to them in years, and every day they go, now, you're still angry. I own you. Is that you? All right? I don't know. You got to ask that. How about this one, all right? Yeah, this is the last one we looked at last week, your financial world. Meaning, if you look at your financial life and all the priorities going, that's more important than this, and the choices you make and the balance. We have all these things. Is it imbalance, or is something like way out there? And the debt that we all carry. So looking at your financial world, you got self-control. Is that defined? That nails it. I'm self-control in my money, right? What do you mean? Well, before I was rooted in Jesus and he was living inside of me, it was a different story, but now that he's inside of me and I'm rooted in him, I choose to point my money and do things with my money that are different than I used to do. They align with what God really cares about. Are you self-controlled when it comes to your monny? Or are you a victim? I'm addicted to it. My money is, an incontinent mess. I mean, it's just all over the place, and I'm enslaved by somebody. I can't control it. What do you mean? What do you mean is enslaved to? Chase, Discover, Nelnet. What if you just fill in the blank there, right? That really hurt. So, let's just get onto this, all right? If you were honest, of all those 5 areas of life that I just mentioned, there's one of them that brought up more energy than all the rest. Right? It's the one you just go, oh, I hope he doesn't talk about this, all right? The truth is this, of all those 5, and you're looking there going, yeah, I need to consider that. That's true, or whatever that is, there's one that you go, I don't want to talk about that, and that's money. Let's just talk about my ruined relationships and my addiction and all this other stuff. This actually feels better than talking about my money. And that's just true. When asked how being rooted in Jesus and claiming to have his Spirit living in us and changing us and being the driving force in your life, you can point to any area of your life and say it's recognizably different now that Jesus is in my life. You wouldn't have any problem doing that. But like, you can point to any one of those first 4. Like, if I said, so what difference has Jesus made in your life in terms of your sexuality? You might go say something like this. Well, I don't know. I'm starting to believe. I feel like I'm a better man, or I have confidence as a woman now that I don't have to look to somebody else for my value. Or how about relationships? I said, how is being rooted in Jesus and Jesus living inside of you, how has that changed anything in your life? You go, I'm trying to be a better husband. I'm trying to be more patient with my kids. I'm trying to be, more loving towards my girlfriend, my wife, whatever that is. Your emotional health. How has being rooted in Jesus and him living inside of you, how has that made a difference in your emotional health and all the tapes that play in your head? And this is what you'd say to me. You go, I got really kind of worked up last week, and so I called my counselor. I had 2 appointments this week. She looked at me and she goes, I think you're doing better. I think I'm doing better. I think I'm making progress. I felt some joy, and I felt some peace, and I'm feeling good. But you know what? All 4 of those areas of life, the answer that I would ask, how is Jesus making a difference in your life? Everything you'd say back to me, it's all subjective. I mean, how do you know? I don't know, I just feel like it, right? I mean, almost all those first 4 can be answered with this. I feel this way, or I have confidence this way, or, I believe, my faith is growing, whatever that is. You'd say, okay, in terms of my sexuality or my relationships or my emotional health or my physical, listen, in my heart, or in my mind, or, I just really feel, I just really believe. You keep on going with that. That's all good in the first 4 areas of life. That's great, and I hope all of it's true. Let's talk about your money. And you go, no, let's not, right? And some of you are sitting there going, because it's happened like 3 times already, like, you just turned this into a money talk, didn't you? And I was like, no. Yeah, this is a faith talk. This is about faith. And faith and money cannot be separated. You know why? Jesus taught over and over. His biggest competition for your faith, what do you mean my faith? So you know that someday something's going to happen to you or your family or something like that, and you're trying to get ready for it. And whatever you're getting ready for that event, that's what you have faith in. And most of us, our biggest competition for what we trust, I'll just say it like this. Jesus' biggest competition for who and what you trust to take care of you isn't Satan, it's money. That's just absolutely true, all right? Jesus' big competition for your life and who owns your heart and what runs your whole week, it's not Satan, it's money, all right? And I don't know if I should, I'm going to speak for Jesus, okay? No lightning bolts so far, right? So I'm pretty sure that Jesus is not looking at you going, wringing his hands, worried about how you're going to spend your day today. Maybe, I don't know, you know what your plans, right? But I'm pretty sure Jesus is not sitting there going, she's doing good. She went to church, in the morning. Oh, then she went and she worshiped Satan this afternoon. Didn't see that coming. I don't think that's going to happen for most of us. Last night I saw a guy, maybe, all right? But really, I don't think anybody's going to say, I'm going to cash in all my Jesus chips and I'm going to go all the way over here to this evil side. No. I don't think that's it. See, you're in this tension between Jesus, do I trust Jesus or do I trust money? Which is why Jesus taught about money and what it can and can't do for a person in a person's life more than any other topic. You ever have one of those Bibles that has all the words of Jesus in red? All right, here's an assignment. Count them. Count them. You know what? 1 out of every 6 words recorded from Jesus in the Bible they're not about heaven and hell and love one another. You know what they're about? Money. 1 out of 6 words that came out of his mouth. So it must be important. Because he knows, listen, that people are going to spend their whole lives trying to get enough money, and you know how much enough money is? You know when you have enough? The answer is, it's more than you have. What's enough? More than I have. You can have $1 billion. You know what? It's not enough. You need a little bit more. It's always a little bit more. If I get a little bit more, then if something happens, I think that money can take care of me, and it's not true, and Jesus knows that. But you won't know that until you get to that point in your life, because I'll tell you what, money didn't keep your divorce away. Money didn't keep your kids from going off the edge. Money didn't keep you from getting depressed. Money didn't keep all those things away, right? And then you look at your money, and your money's like, I can't fix that. And Jesus knows that, but you won't know that till you run into a wall and go, now what am I going to do? See, here's the thing. If really pressed, most of us would all say, loving Jesus and being loved by Jesus and being saved by Jesus and being rooted in Jesus and having Jesus flowing through me, all right? All that's really, really important. Very, very important. I'd even say it's the most important thing when it comes to my sexuality and my most important relationships and my health and my emotional issues, all right? And most of us would even say, that should have some effect on our money. But the truth is, none of us want to look at our money today. None of us want to answer this question, all right? Because this is the most intrusive question probably anybody's going to ask you all week long, which is why it gets worse. You might want to leave now. But look at this question. Does the way that I earn and choose to spend my money, I choose, okay? Does the way that I earn and choose to spend my money, does it line up with the life that claims to belong to Christ Jesus? Does it line up with a life that claims to be rooted in Christ Jesus? The way that we make and spend our money, does it line up with anything about having the Spirit of Christ flowing through me and out of me? What difference has Jesus made in your life with the way you point your dollars in different places? And here's why we don't want to answer that question. Because to answer that question, you can't start that answer with a phrase that starts with this. Well, in my heart, or, I just feel like, or I'm just being led to. No, can't do that. That'd be like being hauled in front of the judge for custody of your kids, and the judge looks at you and goes, hey, your kids are starving to death. And you look back at the judge and go, well, but in my heart, I fed them, right? You're not going to get your kids back. It's like looking at your husband or wife and going, in my heart, I'm faithful to you. But when I go on a business trip, I don't know what happens. But in my heart, you're out on the curb right after that. See, Jesus said it several different ways, and we this is very familiar. He said this, and this is just true. I'll tell you, whether you believe in Jesus or not, this statement right here is true. This is Jesus talking. He says, for where your, what's the word? All right, I went back to the Greek. So what do you mean treasure? That could be anything, right? Like it's my integrity and my character and nope, in the Greek. For where your money is, there your what? The thing that owns your heart. I love that. Jesus says your money and your heart will always be in the same place. And that's just true. That's just true. Then he goes on and he says this, and we know this is true because some of us have lived this. No one can serve two masters. No one can look at two different masters and say, you run my life, and I'm going to do the things you tell me to do. We've tried that before. We've had jobs before where we're not sure who's our boss, and they're both telling us what we're supposed to do. That's a miserable job, and eventually you just quit going, I can't take this, and I got people coming on both sides. Hey, let me talk to some of the kids in the room or some that grew up in this. It looks like this. I spend this weekend with mom, and then I spend this weekend with dad, and then I spend this holiday with this and this spring break with them, all right? And she doesn't really like him, and he doesn't like him, and they're both trashing each other, and I'm caught in the middle. And you know what? I'm trying to serve them both. I kind of hate both of them right now. Some of us grew up that way, right? Because of this. No one can serve two masters. You try, here's what will happen. Either you'll hate the one and love the other, or you'll be devoted to the one and you'll despise the other. And then he says this, to land the plane, because you cannot serve both God and Satan. It's not what he says. You're not going to serve Satan, all right? This is the tension right here. I'm trying to follow God. I need money. And one of them, I'm serving more than the other. See, what Jesus is saying is that money is the number one revealer of what you love, what owns and controls your whole week, who you serve, and who you call master. And you know what? The way you answer that question, it's not subjective. It's not. You can't say, well, I kind of feel like this. You want to know how to determine what you love the most and what you spend all your heart is channeled towards? It's simply this question. So all you have to do is look at your bank statement. And it'll be obvious what you love and what takes the highest priorities in your life. It will be obvious. There's your homework assignment this afternoon. All right, when everybody's off doing their stuff, just flip open your laptop and look at it, at your bank statement. And you'll look at that going, apparently I love that a lot. Because I spend a lot of my money on that. It may not even be a bad thing, all right? And here's the thing. We would say that love and faith and worship and service to Jesus would make a recognizable difference in every other part of our life. But why is it that we get really defensive or deflective? Some of you are mad at me right now. You're saying, I shouldn't have come today. I don't like this talk. Why is it that we get really defensive and deflective when Jesus wants to talk about our money? Especially when, could we just be honest? You spent most of the hours of your week, ready? Earning money. That's not a bad thing. You just spent a lot of hours. You spent more hours going and getting money than you did with your husband or wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, parents, or children. You spent more money trying to get, more time getting those things. Here's the other thing of it. The thing you fought about, the thing that caused the most tension at your house, wasn't Jesus or Satan, right? You argued about money. Number one reason for divorce in America? Money. Number one thing you fight with your kids about and your kids fight with you about? Money. And you know what you're not fighting about? What are we going to do with all this extra money? I've never had that fight. Anybody had that fight? I don't know. Here. No. None of us do. If that's you, please see me in the lobby directly after church, all right? I mean, it stresses us out. It's blowing up our marriages. It's blowing up stuff with our kids. We're having heart palpitations. We can't sleep at night. We're sweating. And I'll get to my story in just a minute. But what is different about the way you point your dollars now that you're rooted in Jesus than if you weren't rooted in Jesus? And again, if you've been a Christian just a few minutes, okay. But some of us, we've been Christians a long time. So here's how Ben taught it to us a few weeks ago. How about this? How's the Spirit? And if you say I'm rooted in Jesus and He lives inside of me, that means you have the Spirit of Christ living inside of you, or Jesus is a liar because He promised, right? So you have the Spirit living inside of you. So how's that Spirit changing? The Bible word is sanctifying, and change takes time, all right? So we're not talking about overnight, but we got to be moving the ball down the field somehow, right? So how's the Spirit changing the way, what do you mean the way? The recognizable fruit, the recognizable difference that you choose to spend your money. And you cannot answer that question with I feel like, or in my heart. No, it's measurable. It's measurable, right? So what should I do with my money? Now, let me just jump to this, okay? So if you really want to do this, and I really, really challenge you to do this, go home, get on your phone right now, because the rest of today is just more of the same, all right? So pull it. Some of you going, we have to, look, it's Father's Day. All right, so listen, pull up your bank statement. I'm really, do this, all right? And just look at it. And just look at it, and just ask yourself some really, really good questions. And is there anything different there than a year ago? Really do this, all right? Pull up your bank statement, print it out for the last couple of months, then go back 3 or 4 years. And then pull it, and then lay them on the kitchen table and look at the difference. So what's there? There's some of us going, if you would have told me that I would point dollars at people who live in a camp in Afghanistan, if you had told me that 5 years ago, if you told me that I was going to go on a mission trip to Musana and take care of kids over in Africa, if you would have told me that I would be involved in Fathers in the Field and I would be putting some little kid that I never even knew on a little horse hoping he wouldn't kill himself, if you would have told me that 5 years ago, I would say, you're crazy. And if you would have looked at my bank statement 5 years ago and you would have seen what I was spending my money, well, you're not allowed to. It's none of your business, all right? Things are different because my heart's changing. Because I'm now rooted in Jesus. So what's changing for you? Here's the other thing that's going to come up. You're going to look at your bank statement, and you're going to go, last week when Jim talked about going to Afghanistan, my heart didn't change. When he mentioned Musana and going and teaching. I'm a school teacher. I would love to go to Musana and teach teachers or teach kids, or I would love to, do this over there, do this over there, but you know what? I can't. You know why? Because of that payment and that payment and that payment and that payment and that payment. Someday maybe, but not right now. Okay. Now, I know you're having a lot of imaginary conversations in my head. Most of them are not nice, but so here's what some of us are doing right now. So you're saying I should feel guilty because I want to spend money on me? I want to do fun things. I want to go on. I want to upgrade my house. I want to have a nice car. I want to, No. There's nothing in the Bible. Please, you shouldn't feel guilty about any of that. There's nothing in the Bible that says if you really love Jesus, you should wear really ugly clothes, live in a really crappy house, no furniture, just sit on the floor because you gave it all to the poor. If you really love Jesus, and you should be happy about it. It's not in the Bible. There's nothing wrong with spending money on good things, nice things, all right? So I'm just telling you, this is my last service, and I'm going on vacation. A week from now, I will be on a beach in Cancun with a little drink, with an umbrella, maybe, all right? And there's so much more I want to say there. It's just none of your business. But here's the thing, all right? No, there's nothing wrong. Jesus doesn't really talk about what you should and shouldn't spend your money on. What he talks about is the priorities. You need to take care of some things first, and then go crazy. Do anything you want to do, but priority-wise, there's some things that you need to pay attention to. So Jesus says this. Look at this. He says, this is just so great. He says, so don't worry. Wouldn't you like to close with prayer right there? Stop worrying. Go in peace. All right? Okay, Jim said so. All right, so do not worry, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? And you can fill in yours with anything there. What am I going to do about this? How am I going to pay for this? And we need a new this because the tires are going, the engine's bad. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Just fill in the blank there. Right? Don't worry about that, saying what are we going to do, all right? And here's why. For what's that word? And the Bible word for pagan is just anybody who says, I'm not rooted in Jesus. What's that even mean? I don't have Jesus inside of me, and he certainly isn't coming out of me. So no, I live my life different than rooted in Jesus, whatever that means. No, people that don't belong to Christ, all right, they run after these things, all right? But your Heavenly Father, it's Father's Day. Dads, this is what it looks like to be a father. Your Heavenly Father knows that you need what? Them what? Whatever you finish the blank with, well, what about this, and what about food, and what about drink, and what about a house, and what about cars, and what about all the things that I need to keep my family under a roof and clothed? Your Heavenly Father knows that you need them. We have this illusion that Jesus is in heaven and he's forgetful, like he needs to take meds like Pastor Jim, right? Like he's looking at you going, oh, my bad. I forgot your kids need to eat, don't they? But that's how we actually, Jesus is not going to take care of my problem. What am I going to do? I got to take care of that myself. No, that's what the pagans do. Here's what we do because we're rooted in Jesus. But seek, what's that word? First, all right? Nothing wrong with seeking that other stuff. All right, you got to eat, you got to do stuff, all right? But seek first priority, his kingdom, the things that he's doing, and his righteousness, and all these, what? That's that stuff, that's the them, that's the eat, drink, what are we going to do, what are we going to do? All right? They'll be given to you as well. He's got that. And I love how Jesus says, he says, therefore, do not worry about tomorrow. You're going to agree with this. Don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Can I get an amen, right? I mean, it's just like, yeah, we know. Here's what Jesus means, is you're going to get up tomorrow. I mean, it's already happening right now. You're thinking about it, right? You're going to get out of bed tomorrow, and there's going to be a list right in front of you going, what are you going to do about this? And how are you going to afford this? And how are you going to pay for this? And what are you going to do about it? And right? And on and on and on and on. Jesus says, listen, here's what I'm telling you to do because you're rooted in me. All right, I got that. Well, how are you going to do it? I'm God. I got it, all right? Here's what I'm telling you to do. You just seek me first. You just run after me. And that other stuff, listen, I'm your father. I will take care of it. I promise. Now, the reality is, and, based on the entire series and what it looks like to belong to Jesus, be rooted in Jesus, and have him flowing inside of us, all right? When it comes to this part of our life, the way we say it around here is there's two deals on the table. This is how we run our lives when it comes to God and money, all right? And when I talk about God and money, I'm talking about the money you have, not the money that you should have had, but then you didn't get a raise. You didn't get a raise. Well, someday things are going to be different, and then, well, it's not someday, it's today. Well, you know what? I would have more money if he would just make the payments like the judge told him to do. I hope he does, but he's not right now. So we're just talking about the money you have, okay? All right, that's all I'm talking about, right? So here's the two deals on the table. This is how we run our life. It looks like this. We trust God first, and then we use money. We leverage money to join God in furthering his plan before our own plan. Nothing wrong with our plan. I'm just going to make sure that I ask Jesus what he wants to do first, all right? That's one deal on the table. Here's another one. I trust money first, and then I try to use God to try to further my plan above and before his plan, and I will get to God's plan if as soon as I have some money, extra money. Anybody have extra money? No, me either, all right? There's never any left over. But I'm going to get to you, God. someday. No, I'm not. Right? Let me boil that down. Trust God first, use money. Or trust money first, use God. This is how we run our lives. And Jesus says one of those works and the other one does not. Can you figure it out? Jesus taught this: God can be trusted, God cannot be used. Don't try to manipulate God. Don't try to dig yourself in a hole going, now it's your responsibility to get me out of this mess. That's our life. God can be trusted, God can't be used. How about this? Jesus taught this: money can be used, money cannot be trusted. And we've tried and it's let us down over and over and over, right? So having said all that, all right, let's run our financial world through some questions through this filter, all right? And this is between you and the Lord. So if you do this, if you have the courage and the whatever to actually open up your computer and say, I'm going to look at my bank statement through that lens, here's the first question. What are the first priority things to get your money? You're going to get paid this week. What's the first thing you got to take care of? It might not be a bad thing. Just pay attention to it, okay? Second question. What choices that you are making, what are the choices you're making as to where you point your money? So I don't have any choices. Like, I got a mortgage. Okay, all right, that one's taken, all right? You have something. I don't care if you're 12 years old. You have an allowance or whatever you do, all right? So you have some money, all right? And you get to choose where you point it. So the follow-up question is this: what's the balance of what God cares about and what you care about? And there's nothing wrong with what you care about. There has to be a balance. It can't be all about me, my stuff for me. What's God care about? And this is the one I just don't like. I wish we stopped the message right there, but we're not. What financial debt do you carry from past decisions that has no current value and now causes more pain than the happiness and joy you mistakenly thought it would provide when you went and bought it? We were shopping for happiness. And it promised, if I have that and I own that and I wear that and I'm able to do that, then I'll be happy. And you know what? It is gone. You don't know where it is anymore. But you got a payment. And it owns you. And then that's my story. So some of you have heard my story before, and some of you haven't. And those who have already heard it, you can leave if you want. You probably need to hear it again because it's your story too. It's just nothing's changed. But here's, I'm sitting down, camera people. All right, they always freak out. Well done. All right. Anyway, so I'm the pastor of this church for the last 11 years. I've been a Christian forever. My dad's a pastor, my grandpa's a pastor, my mom's a church organist, choir director. I'm churched. I've been to church a lot, more than any human being should have to go to church, all right? So I don't remember not believing in Jesus. There's times I didn't follow him, that's high school and college, whoa, all right, but that's another sermon. But I don't ever remember a time in my life going, I'm connected to him. I think he lives inside of me. But that doesn't mean my life has been very fruitful, all right? Can I tell you, I'm going to use the metaphor Jesus used. Can I tell you, the number one thorny vine that wraps itself around me and causes my life to fall apart? You know what it is? It's not Satan. It's money. Money has stressed me out and ruined more parts of my life than anything else. It's heavy. So a couple weeks ago, one of my wife's good friends committed suicide. Wow. And I always thought to myself, early in life, man, how could somebody do that? I get it. But please, I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying I know what it's like to say, you know what am I going to do? And you're in a panic, and you're going, I'm letting everybody down, and everybody be better off without me. What am I going to do? And you're driving down Highway 7, and there's a tree right there, and all you have to do is hit the gas and swerve to the right, and then you're free. That's how it feels. Anybody relate to that feeling sometimes? It's heavy, all right? It's money. Right? My financial life was the definition of incontinence, right? Yeah, my life and I started to say sphincter. That was being inappropriate, but I said it. Anyway, so let me tell you how it changed in my life, and it's still a stress sometimes in my life, because here's the thing is, anytime I get stressed, you know what I want to run back to? I want to go spend some money. It's just my go-to. It's my blanket. It's like, I don't know, I'll feel guilty and shameful about it, but I'll feel good for 5 minutes. So here's how it changed for me, okay? And we're already 2.5 minutes over time, so go if you need to go. But I'm sitting on my couch. So about 8 or 9 years ago, we were getting ready to launch a financial campaign to raise money for this building that would lead to other campuses, okay? And so I was thinking about my talk and what I was going to do there. And so I'm writing my talk in my head, and I'm sitting on the couch one night with Robin, and we're watching TV, and I thought, I'm going to bring this up. And so I said, hey, babe, you know what? I've been thinking about this, praying about it. That's what spiritual people do. I've been praying about this, and I think we really ought to try to get back to tithing. And she went, huh? And I went, what? Let's watch TV. And because whenever she goes, huh? I know it's going to be a bad night. And she goes, what? And she turned the TV off. And this is, oh, Lord. And so she goes, wait, what do you mean get back? And I went, yeah, so money's been tight and had some bills come up and kids in college and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't been given, our offering and stuff like that, but we're going to get back to it. I think we ought to get back to it. And she's like, oh, and I knew it. And this is a dagger because she was right. She goes, I trusted you. I trusted you to be the spiritual leader of our home. And it's Father's Day. Hey, dads, this is what we signed up for. To spiritually lead, provide, protect our family, all right? And I didn't do it. I deceived. And my intentions weren't bad. I was trying to do something good. I'm not beating myself up. I think I was trying to do something good, right? I was trying to make everybody happy, keep everybody in college, get everybody the things that they wanted so that they would be happy. And I was failing all over the place. So much so there are times when I really thought about just driving my car at that time into a wall. It just felt like. So this is how things changed. Right there in my family room that night, I repented. You got to rethink how you think about this part of your life. And you know what? Repenting doesn't change anything until you get up off your knees or get up off your couch and then form a strategy from now on. All right? Nothing changes. Okay, I'm going to get healthy. And then you just keep on eating Doritos. It's nothing changes. It's the same way with money, all right? So this is what the strategy was for me. And this was hard. So I made an appointment with Michael Caine. And I really suggest, so leaders go first. I went first. All right, so make an appointment with Michael Caine. He's our financial guy here at church. I made an appointment with a guy who works for me. He knows how much I make. He knows how much I give. I don't know what anybody gives. Some of you don't believe that, but I don't want to know, all right? So I sat down and went, hey, Michael, I need help with my finances. He says, bring it in, okay? And Michael is so organized, I think he thought I was going to bring in files. Who does that, all right? And I brought in a box of paper, all right? And so I dumped it out on a table, and literally, going back to our metaphor, I took a dump on this table and just laid it out there and went, there it is. And so he was like, wow, okay, all right. And so we looked at it. Let me tell you what I laid out there on the table. My whole financial disaster. My financial strategy is which bill is the most late, right? So, and what's the minimum payment? Write a check, all right? So that was it, all right? And so that's just my life. So if you're sitting there going, are you judging me for that? No. Yes. Me too. All right, whatever that is, okay? So here's what it looked like. So I'm not even going to talk about my houses, all right, because I had a house back in Kentucky I couldn't sell for 7 years that I moved out here. So I had 2 house payments, and I had 2 car payments, and the value of the cars was less than what I owed on them. But we're not going to talk about that, okay? We're going to talk about this other stuff. I had 26 college loans for my kids, all right? Yeah, just wait. 26 cards. And then I don't know how many credit cards. They were all maxed out. And then I had some other debt that I still want to tell you about. But anyway, but if you did the math, it was between $150,000 and $200,000. And I don't make that much. And so I'm like, oh, wow. All right. And let me tell you when it really came to a head. So I'm driving down Highway 7, right over by Vista Ridge. I know exactly where I was on the highway. God speaks to me on that highway. Or Satan does, somebody does. But anyway, so I'm driving down the road, and so my daughter Allie was back in Tennessee. She had 1 more semester of college, and so I said, oh, I need another loan. So I called Nelnet. Everybody knows Nelnet. All you college family going, oh, we know Nelnet, all right? So I said, hey, my daughter's in college back in Tennessee. I need to get 1 more semester. I need $9,000. And they said, no. I'm like, what? He goes, you're tapped out. I'm like, can I speak to your supervisor? I was like, they said, yeah, your credit rating, you can't have any more money. I'm like, but I got another semester. And they said, I'm sorry. So you know what I did? I went home, and I dug in a drawer, and I found a Discover card in the back of one of the drawers, and I went to Chase Bank, and I got a $9,000 cash advance on a Discover card at 33% interest. Really? So campuses, this whole room all sighed and gasped at that, very judgmentally right now, and I'm sure West and Denver didn't. But Jesus sees you, just so you know that. Really? Some of you are going, oh, good, I only have 8,000 on my Discovery card. So good for you, all right? And I'm like, what am I going to do? Right? So I laid all that out there, and Michael just took all and he said, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. That was like 8 years ago. And about 3 years ago, so you got to hear that, it took almost 6 years to get out of debt, right? No, wait, I'm out. But it was horrible. It was absolutely, he put us on the best analogy, some of you are going to get this and some of you, you're not. When I went in there to Michael's office that day, the best analogy I could have was my first doctor's appointment after I turned 50. All the men here are going, oh yeah. Yeah, very similar, very intrusive, and embarrassing and shameful and everything else. And I can keep going if you want to. And it stunk. And anyway, so we're all laid out there, and so we started working. So he put me on an allowance and Robin on an allowance, and he would do things like this. He would email me and go, Robin spent $35 on hair products. What's up with that? And I go, I don't know. And what he doesn't know is it was like 10 times that. I mean, I'm not going to tell him that. But anyway, so I go to Robin and go, hey, Michael wants to know why you spent $35 on getting your hair done. And she that didn't go over well. She acted nothing like our Lord Jesus, nothing at all. She did call down his name on Michael a couple of times, like, you should burn him in hell. That's what you should do. And but we worked it. So almost 6 years to get out of debt. So let me tell you. So how can I stand up? I'm sorry. How can I stand up in front of you all and go, this is what Jesus wants you to do with your money, and I am just a total hypocrite? I actually went to the elders, and this is online. You can go back to the Bricks series. I went to the elders and I went, hey, listen, if I don't do this and I don't stick to this, please fire me, because I can't lead this church and be that kind of man. So about 3 years ago, let me say this. Debt is gone, and my giving is up. And here's what I mean by that. Rob and I, we believe in tithing, which means the first 10% of my gross income, I write it. It's on automatic deposit. It comes right back to Flatirons. There's not a rule about that in the Bible. There's not if you're a Christian, you have to do something like that. I want to give more than that. I really do. 10, 11. And then on top of that, we support my friend Wakil with Sozo, and some friends of us are going on mission trips, to Sozo and to Misana, and I'll get a letter in the mail going, hey, will you support me? And I'm like, I'm able to do that. I'm able to help, and my kids go to do some training for spiritual things that they want to do. I didn't used to be able to do that. So my giving is up, my confidence is up as a husband, a father, a provider. I am a better leader for you. I'm a better leader of this church, and my stress is down, and my anxiety is down, and every time I talk about money up here, I don't feel guilty and shame, and I don't feel judgmental because I get it. I don't throw stones at anybody who has a disaster of a financial world. I know. My old pastor back in Kentucky, he actually said, hey, Jim, whenever I talk about money, you know what goes up? I want offering. He goes, sometimes baptisms. So what do you mean? Well, if you trust God with your money, you'll trust him with anything. Be honest. Most important things in your life, your family and money. And the reason you want money is because you want to take care of your family, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Just pay attention to that. So some of us are going, okay, we should have left. This is where you're going to make a big guilt trip and say, you should give all your money to Flatirons or more money to Flatirons. And the answer is yes and no on that. So I'll say no. I'll say it with a reservation. I can't think of a better church or ministry. I've been involved in them all my life, where if you want to leverage your dollars for something that Jesus is doing in the world, the best place I've found is Flatirons. So without hesitation, you ought to give your money here, all right? You really should. And if you say, well, I don't trust this place. Why? Because your last church lied to you? Okay, then make an appointment with Michael Caine, and as you're going through your own finances, ask him to see the books. We'll show you our books. We get an outside audit every year. You want to know where every nickel and dime goes? We will tell you about that, and I'm very, 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 very proud of it, okay? But if you don't trust this place, give it somewhere else. Give it somewhere else that you say, well, listen, I don't know about this big mega church thing or something like that, but there's this other thing that I do trust. Then give it there, but do not use the excuse, I don't give money to anything Christian because I just don't trust him anymore. That's an excuse, and it doesn't hold water, because if you don't give money to anybody, anywhere, you just keep it all for yourself, like an apple tree going, my apples are for me, and I'm not sharing, all right? Then I'm going to use the phrase that Jesus described. Two young men, brothers, stood up in the middle of his sermon and started arguing about money, and said, Jesus, decide what my brother should do. Tell my brother what to do. He looked at him and says, I'll tell you what you are. You are a greedy, selfish person who has no self-control. I was. I didn't mean to be. I was trying to take care of everybody, keep everybody happy, and be happy myself. But bottom line is I just wanted it all for myself. So here's your homework assignment, and then we'll get out of here. I do this at every one of my Bible studies now. My friend James down in Mexico taught me this. As something comes up in me, I ask this question: what would Jesus tell you to do? So if you really do have the stones to go home and open up your laptop and look at your bank statement, if you looked over the chair next to you and Jesus says, oh, can I sit down? Which that freaked me out. But the truth is, I think he's there anyway. And he looked at your screen and went, can we talk about that one? What would he point to? And you know what? He might go, I'm so proud of you. 5 years ago, that wasn't there. Way to go. But he might point to you and go, what's up with that? Okay, let's work on that. That's between you and Jesus, okay? But what would Jesus tell you to do differently with your money? How about this? Humble yourself. Man, walking into Michael's office, heavy, all right? Humble yourself, which is the opposite of being arrogant. Arrogance will take down this marriage like it did the last one in this family. Confess your, what's the word? Confess your what? What do you mean? I control my life, and I choose what Jesus says is right, true, and good. Or I choose something else, and that is sin. That's right, doesn't agree with Jesus, all right? Then crucify anything holding you back from that. Oh, crucify it. That means, if I crucify that part of my life, that means what? And the reason it's in your life, it's robbing you anyway. See, let me talk to young parents right now, because the world and sports are out of control. Okay, don't clap, because there's a parent who's going to feel really bad here, and maybe mad at me. But this whole idea that my kid has to be in every tournament and every league and every traveling thing and whatever, we can't afford it, but we have to go to this state, and we have to go to this side of the country, and we have to do this so that they can cheer and they can, do gymnastics and they can do basketball or baseball or football or band or whatever that is. We have to do all of that, and we can't afford it. But if I don't do it, they'll be mad. They'll be fine. And what you're saying is they might get mad at me and they might not love me. Let me tell you what, no kid stopped loving their mom and dad because they didn't go to football camp or the elite baseball tournament. No. That's way down the list. You know what's at the top of the list? Did you spend any time with me? That's fathers in the field. They don't care if you ride horses or go hunting. You know what they care? Will you pick me up tomorrow? Because the guy in my life earlier didn't. Right? So let that go where it needs to go. And here's the last thing. Trust God, use money. Trust God, use money. If you don't remember anything else, just that. Let's say it out loud. 1, 2, 3. Trust, use money. That's very convicting. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Trust God, use. So I'm gonna see if you're willing to do this, okay? You don't have to do this, but I'm gonna ask you to do this, all right? So you can give your money anywhere else that lines up with the head with what the heart of Jesus is. Here's my challenge to you. If you give your money here, or you one of our 3 campuses, all right? Here's my challenge to you. Give more. Some of you are going, I don't give anything, so more of nothing is nothing, right? I've done the math, folks, all right? Here's the game I played. I'm a youth pastor. I make crap, all right? And I'm a very skilled person. I could be making this out there in the non-church world, so really my gift to God is the invisible gap. You're welcome, all right? And so I've done all the mental gymnastics. So give more. So some of you know what you do? As you go out, you go, oh, I don't want to make eye contact, so whatever change you. And you walk on, all right? And get intentional about it. I mean, if you make $100, go $2, 2%. Right. And if you already give 2, give them 3. And if you already give 5, then give 6. Whatever that is. And here's what I want you to do. Do that from now through the end of July. All right? And see if God shows up in your life more than currently, all right? I'm not saying if you give Jesus $10, you'll get $100 in the mail. That's not even true, all right? I'm saying, do you feel your faith being stretched and growing because you took a step in the most important part of your life, all right? Now, here's the other thing. I've never heard another church doing this, so I don't know what that means about us. If you'll up your giving between now and the end of July, and at the end of that you go, God didn't do anything different in my life, and my faith is exactly the same. You call Michael Caine, and we'll give you your money back, all right? So the only thing that God says test me in is this. Test me with your money and see if I don't pour open the floodgates of heaven. I will bless your life. If that doesn't happen, then call Michael and go, I want my money back, and we'll give it back to you. Now, don't call Michael and go, I gave $1,000, but it's cash. That's not true, all right? And there's a story in the Bible about Ananias and Sapphira, and they did that. It didn't go well. All right, so in like the 4 years that we've been doing this, we only had one lady say, I want it back. And so we said yes. And then she died on the way home. So that's I'm not going to tell you if that's true or not. You just pray about it, all right? So I started this with, hey, look, this is what it looks like when some men say, I'm going to ask different questions and I'm going to have God use me. Let me tell you what happens when a church says, okay, I want to put the first priorities that Jesus cares about first. Cole, come up here. So let me tell you this. So I don't know how many years I have left in this. My back hurts right now, So let's say I have 10, 15 years left in me. Then the elders are going to go, you should go to your cabin now. Thanks for your time. All right, so before I wrap this up, I'm going on vacation in 10 minutes. So, all right, give me a second. I want to look back at Jesus when he calls me home and I go, I did everything I knew to do with everything you put in front of me. I want to leverage everything so that everybody in Colorado had a chance to hear that God does not hate them. He loves them, and everybody gets a second chance. And even though we put up a white flag on who we were meant to be because we got hurt or we got this or that or whatever that is, listen, it's still possible. All things are still possible with Jesus. I want everybody in Colorado to have a chance to do that. I want to plant campuses up and down the whole Front Range, all the way from the south end to the north end, all over Colorado. You know why? It's not, I've got to ask this question. You're trying to get famous? You want to make Flatirons famous? You want to get your brand out there? No. Listen to this. I want Jesus to be famous. I want his name to be spoken all over Colorado. You know, if we were a company, I'm hungry. All right, if we were a company, so we got 18, 20,000 people coming on a weekend to Flatirons, which is big, all right? But how many people are in Colorado? How many people in this part of the country, how many people in the world don't know Jesus? So we don't have a market share that's even close, all right? So until I die, until you guys get rid of me or whatever, we're going to leverage everything we can. I want to plant campus after campus after campus after campus after campus in areas where there's already churches, but you drove by 20 churches to get to this one. Why? You used to go to another church. It's not a bad church. We're not better, but God's doing something different here, that maybe your dad would come here. Or maybe your friend would finally come here. Or maybe you're whoever. That's why you're here. You've tried churches before. I'm out. I tapped out years ago. Why do you keep coming back here? Or West? Or Denver? So this is Cole Willard, all right? He is, I know, he's amazing. Look at him. All right, stop looking at him now. All right, so get right here. All right, Cole, so on September the 10th, we're going to launch a new campus down in Aurora at Cherokee Trail High School. We're going to rent it out down there. And so Cole is going to be our pastor down there, all right? Cole Willard is going to be a pastor.
Shocking.
So here's what. Some of you went to high school with Cole, and you're like, Willard? I thought he was in prison. This is possible.
A couple times.
Right? Yeah. So we have hundreds of families that go from that part of the city and even further south, all the way down to the Springs and all the way out east. And a lot of people drive right by this place in order to get to the Denver campus, stuff like that. So we want to put a campus there. You know what? There's some other good churches. It's right by Eastern Hills down there. Good church. But we're going after people. And people will drive past Flatirons to go to that church. People drive past that church to come to Flatirons. You know what? It's not like we have enough messages about Jesus out there, good ones about a real Jesus, right? So Cole's going to be our campus pastor. So Cole, tell us a little bit about, so I told him I was going to do this. I've said it all. Cole's going to speak in front of people now.
This is the worst.
Don't vomit.
Yeah, I won't. I'll try
hey,
not to.
Look, he's spiritual. Right? And I've been training him at the gym. He's going to catch up someday. But anyway, hey, here's what we're going to do. Cole, how can people find out more about the campus?
Yeah, if you go to flatironschurch.com, it's on the main page. Just click on Aurora. We have a Facebook page, Flatirons Church Aurora, and we now have a Twitter too. So if you want to stay up to date with what we're doing, go on all three of those and check in.
And then 3 weeks from today?
3 weeks from today, July 9th, we're having a barbecue at Cherokee Trail High School from 2 to 4. Let us know if you're coming. We'd love to have you guys down there.
All right. Give it up for Cole. Encourage this man, all right? Stand up. Hey, Cole's gonna pray us out, and are we gonna sing a song, or is it like dinner time? We're gonna sing. All right, we're gonna sing. And so Cole's gonna be out there. Fathers in the Field is out there. Go home, ask Jesus what He wants to do different in your life, and then let's do something different. Okay, Cole.
Yeah. God, we love you, and we love this place, and we love what you're doing here. You've trusted us with Lafayette. You've trusted us with Genesee, you've trusted us with Denver, and I love that you're now trusting us with Aurora. I don't know what you want to do down there, but I want you to lead us, and I want us to follow really well and to just listen to what you want, so please let us do that. As we go through this week, I want the song that we're about to sing be our prayer that we have to lay something down in front of you. We have to sit in front of you and lay something down in order to run faster towards you and run faster with you. And so as we sing this song, just continue to remind us this week that we have to lay something down in order to follow you better, and I love that. And so just let us do that this week. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
We're so glad you joined us today, and it's our honor and our mission to help you continue discovering Jesus in a real and authentic way. So if you need prayer today, we would love to provide that. Head to flatironschurch.com/prayer, and you can know that we and our volunteers will be praying for you throughout the week. Also, we would love to hear the awesome stuff that Jesus is up to in your life. So email us your story at mystory@flatirionschurch.com. And last, if you'd like to play a role in what God is doing here at Flatirons, you can always donate to our mission at flatirionschurch.com/giveonline. Once again, we're glad you're here at Flatirons Online, and we'll see you next week.